Stora rörelser när oljepriset rusar och marknaden sätts i gungning. Det är den 9 mars. Du tittar på EFN råvaror. Vi ska förstås prata om oljepriser och ädelmetaller, guld och silver, liksom den skakiga marknaden ur ett bredare perspektiv. Men vi ska också snacka svavelsyra och dess påverkan på svensk industri.
Ja, jag är jätteoroad. Läget är ju oerhört allvarligt. Vi klev in, trots den här lilla ljusningen, så klev vi in i 2026 med tuffa villkor, tuffa så att säga, förutsättningar. Men vi hade ändå ett hopp om att det skulle vända under 2026. Och det hoppet är naturligtvis inte över än, men det är klart att det här leder ju till att vi blir oroliga om det verkligen ska hända under 2026.
Så säger Jakob Tellgren som är vd för ICAM, innovations- och kemiindustrierna i Sverige. Mer ifrån honom och den industriella påverkan från det segmentet snart. Men nu byter vi till engelska. A warm welcome to Bas Kooijman, who's the CEO of asset manager DHF Capital. Bas, you've been with us before. It's always a pleasure, but this is a particularly interesting day. Quite a lot of volatility out there. What's your feeling, and how are you doing today?
Well, thank you so much. I'm doing well. I think that it's been a very crazy day, but actually a whole last week was, of course, very volatile in the markets. We also have a big team in Dubai itself, and it was definitely a difficult weekend to navigate. And the Sunday opening markets last week showed, of course, a very big rally on gold. And then this week we have the big rally on oil. And after already having 35% extra oil prices last week, we saw another spike today. So it's definitely a very interesting market to watch, to navigate, to trade, but also comes with a certain fear if the whole markets are going to stabilize after we see this new oil price for this moment.
It was quite a fascinating move. I mean, it started Sunday night, 11 p.m. Swedish time. You saw this dramatic spike and I believe a bit of selling off and profit taking on Monday morning. Any thoughts on the initial market moves that we've seen in the oil market?
Yeah, well, we saw, of course, a lot of people who got in last week Sunday entering in this spike around this $75 per barrel crude market. They probably put their take profits about $100, maybe $110 a barrel. And of course, when the market then spikes to 117, some automatically saw direct sell-offs, and others maybe woke up Monday morning and saw like, well, that's enough profit for me. So it's more on the trading side than on the actual oil price of today.
Yeah, we have a chart of today's oil move, quite a U-turn, but obviously on extremely high levels. Do you have any thoughts on the volatility transfer mechanism? When you see oil prices this high, it disturbs a lot of other markets too, and the real economy as well, I would suppose.
Well, that's the problem. I would say that when the issue started last week, we hoped for oil to stabilize around 80, which is a level that's higher than before, but it would be a level that not directly airlines, consumer goods, trucking and transport would not directly be influenced. When the market keeps an oil price above 100, we are going to see an effect on consumer prices and daily activity for just everybody who tries to book a flight or do a shipment, or anything will be impacted when the energy prices move up. And I would say that we are fearful for a price around 120 or even higher in the oil market, because it will affect in the next couple of months everything we do.
Another question following up on that is you can trade oil in a lot of different ways and in a lot of different delivery dates. I believe the near-term curve goes up first, and another thing to watch is if the longer deliveries starts pricing up as well. Any thoughts on that aspect?
Well, the longer deliveries are still about $63, $65, $70 a barrel, which means that if the market stabilize, then that's being an expected drop kind of back to normal. Of course, when those are defaulting, not being delivered, or simply canceled the contracts, that would definitely include the future, which we only know in like 2 or 3 months, how long this effect is going to last, and affects all the companies in all sectors, not only energy.
Well, very interesting. You mentioned Dubai, obviously a hub for gold transit in this world. I believe there was a bit of a sell-off in gold this morning as well. Am I correct? And I sometimes look at gold during busy days of selling pressure in risk assets in general. If gold sells as well, sometimes I think it's the end of a washout. That could be a positive sign. I don't know if you agree with that premise, but your thoughts on the gold price movements as of today?
Well, I think gold has stabilized a bit after last week. Indeed, then we do see some profit taking. We see some sell orders, which are actually quickly bought by the general buyers. So hedge funds are still buying. The central banks are still buying. We do see a lot of general buying activity on gold, but it does level out those sells that you may have seen in the market. I think gold can easily continue to grow. The only thing what we did see also is the dollar strengthening in the last 2-3 weeks. And that's been the first time in a long time. So against the euro, for example, the dollar has gained a couple of percentage points. And yeah, we will have to see. I think rate cuts are out of the question. Higher oil prices, higher volatility. And then the question is, what's that dollar going to do? Stronger dollar is lower price on gold, but with all the geopolitical tensions, gold is still the safe haven for many funds and general the central banks that are still buying up to the plans they had at the beginning of this year.
I mean, I don't want to be too philosophical in this discussion, but if we're looking at high energy prices and inflation, central banks cannot lower interest rates, and a slowing economy too. Expensive oil is a brake on the economy, or could be a brake on the economy. I guess gold, again, looks like one of the few attractive options.
Well, gold is for sure a safe option. And even though the gold price drops sometimes by a couple of points, we do believe that maybe an 8 to 12% drop after recent highs is possible. But the long run, especially with all this tension in the world, the long run can easily see gold go to 5,500, even 6,000 by the end of the year. Of course, if all the tensions ease, maybe rate cuts would come in again, then gold does get a little bit of this downward pressure. But most of the people see gold as a diversification, 5 to 10% of their portfolio, and that you hold for the long time. And if you hold it for the long run, it is any day a good investment for part of your portfolio.
Could we discuss silver? Any thoughts on silver particularly, or is it just the same as gold, but I guess with a bigger, instead of 8 to 10%, I guess 15 to 20% should be in the acceptance range.
Well, that's the interesting part, because people don't always pay as much attention on silver as they do on gold. More for mental reasons, I think, than for the analytical part, because last year we did see about 65% of gold increase, but we saw 160% increase on silver. And at this moment, it's just catching up on the proper ratio against gold. And what I also think is very important to know is that silver is being used on a daily basis. And currently it's used for all the AI chips, all the data center, the solar panels, the electric cars. And we simply don't have enough silver in the world to keep up with this demand. So the only reason that silver is really going up from a sentimental value, but also from the need of having silver in our current production sites and in our current products that we use, the only way for silver is to become more expensive.
Perhaps a bit of a sidewinder of a question, but since Dubai is such an important hub for the gold market, do you have any thoughts on what the current insecurities and geopolitical, the attacks affecting Dubai, do they affect the gold market as well in a practical manner?
They actually do. So at this moment, the port of Dubai is not operational. The airport of Dubai is not operational. So a lot of material will also be stuck. I would say a few years ago, gold had about 95% of travel through Dubai. That number went a little bit down, maybe about 85%, but it's still a huge amount that is traveling through Dubai to its final destination. So if this will take on longer, at this moment we are talking about just about 1.5 weeks, but if this will be a long-term issue for shipments in and out of Dubai by air or sea, we could see a difficulty of gold reaching its final destination and therefore becoming even more scarce as well.
Very interesting. A lot of people buy gold, they invest in gold, but they never see the actual gold they're invested in. I mean, we use ETFs and products like that. So would it matter for prices if real gold doesn't ship as easily, or would the market stay cool in such a scenario?
Well, at this moment, the ETF price is already for a while lower than the physical gold price. So if you choose to buy the equivalent of 1 kilo of gold in an ETF, you are basically having a lower price than when you're actually trying to buy a kilo of gold. So that physical gold price might go up. The ETFs don't always directly follow this market. But it will be harder to get it into hands, which at the end will also catch up on the ETF market and could increase the price of gold even more.
Very interesting as always. Any other market reflection or something you're looking at specifically in the coming days to follow this volatile situation?
Well, I think oil is our absolute number one asset to monitor. Even though at DHF we don't actively trade oil, it does affect absolutely everything, every market, every stock. So we do hope to see a small correction, dipping maybe under the $100 a barrel level and stabilizing. If this goes up, then we will have to look at different stock options, stock markets, and see which companies are going to be affected first with this higher price of energy.
Yeah, a very interesting time to be alive indeed, Bas Kooijman. Always a pleasure to have you on. Thank you so much for sharing your insights. Vi byter tillbaka till svenska här i studion. Vi ska återvända till svavelsyran som jag nämnde i programmets inledning. Jag frågade Jakob Tellgren när han var i studion tidigare idag varför just svavelsyra är så viktigt.
Nej, men svavelsyra är ju en grundförutsättning för en mängd olika produktionsprocesser. Den används som insatsvara i väldigt många olika typer av industrier. Den används i framställning av fordonskomponenter, man använder den i pappersindustrin, man använder den i metallutvinning och även i väldigt vardagliga tillämpningar som till exempel framställningen av dricksvattenkemikalier beroende av svavelsyra.
Vad har svavelsyran för relation eller koppling till olja och Hormuzsundet?
Ja, det är det som är intressant, att det här visar ju återigen hur integrerad oljan är i en mängd olika råvaruflöden. En stor del av den svavelsyra som vi använder idag har sitt ursprung i olja. Det blir en biprodukt eller i reningen av olja vid raffinaderier till exempel så blir det svavel och sen så kan man göra det till svavelsyra i ett senare skede.
Ska man bli orolig över just svavelsyran? Är det liksom en akut situation av brist som uppstår om Hormuzsundet förblir stängt just nu, eller finns det andra försörjningskedjor
Jag skulle säga så att det är precis som du är inne på, det är lite tidsperspektivet här. I det korta perspektivet så säger jag att det finns nog egentligen inte någon anledning att vara direkt oroad. Det finns lager av svavel i Sverige. Det finns så att man klarar sig under en tid framöver. Men självklart för den här typen av råvara som för många andra så är ju tiden här den stora osäkerhetsfaktorn. Och drar det här ut och blir ett storkrig som pågår över en lång tid, ja då kommer de här råvaruleveranserna att påverkas i allra högsta grad.
Svavelsyra alltså som viktig men kanske underrapporterad komponent i svensk och global industri. ICAM gjorde nyligen en industribarometer som visar att sektorn går in i 2026, eller gick in i 2026 med pressad lönsamhet, svagare volymer och hård internationell konkurrens. Även olja och gas spelar stor roll för den här branschen och det påverkar i sin tur hela näringslivet.
Vi som bransch då klev ju in i 2026 med sjunkande lönsamhet och tuff konkurrens och sjunkande volymer. Och i de här två råvarorna som du nämnde, olja och gas, så ska vara kemiindustrin i Europas egentligen stora problem. Det är ju gaspriserna. Och det började redan i samband med att Ryssland invaderade Ukraina, så stack ju gaspriserna, i och med att mycket av till exempel den tyska industrin byggde ju på gasleveranser från Ryssland som av naturliga skäl både stoppades och blev omöjliga att använda. Nu har vi en andra omgång på det här, när vi återigen då är beroende av leveranser från olika oroshärdar i världen. Över helgen så stoppade ju Qatar leveranserna utav gas, och det har varit en jättestor leverantör av gas. Så att gasen påverkar kemiindustrin både i Europa och i Sverige, och den drabbar oss i båda ändar. Dels är det här en energiintensiv industri som använder gas för elproduktion. Det är en stor del, och stiger gaspriserna så stiger naturligtvis elpriserna. Dessutom för kemiindustrin framför allt så är det också så att gasen används som en insatsvara. Det vill säga att man producerar kemikalier baserat på gas. Till exempel då svavelsyra som vi var inne på tidigare.
Många implikationer alltså av höga energipriser. Det här är EFN råvaror den 9 mars med ett oljepris på över $100 fatet. En viss nedgång under dagen följde ett initiativ där G7 aviserade sin intention att lätta på lager för att bekämpa det högre priset. När det här programmet spelas in meddelar Frankrike att någon sådan överenskommelse ännu inte kunnat göras. Det tyder kanske på fortsatt volatilitet på råvarumarknaden och på andra marknader också. Stort tack för att ni tittat på EFN råvaror. Vi ses snart igen.
Det här var en produktion från EFN. Ansvarig utgivare Anders Hägerstrand.